Welcome to the Justin Hamilton podcast. Today, I'm bringing in author Garth Jones to help me discuss Tron Ares. I say that with an upward inflection, not because I don't suspect we're going to talk about Tron Ares, but look, I've already recorded that part, and we kind of talk about Tron Ares and how I managed to enjoy a film that was technically not very good. And I want to talk to you about a couple of other movies as well, and especially a Marvel film. Actually, that's in the Garth chat as well. So, a movie that a lot of people have been encouraging me to watch, and I kind of finally engaged with it and went, yeah. But there you go. Before we bring Garth in and the other movie I want to talk to you about, a quick shout out to our sponsors at Wonder Pies. They came on board and asked if they could sponsor this podcast for the rest of the year, and I was pretty rapt, to be honest. And I was a big fan of their product. It's great if you're a vegetarian and or vegan. You have those options as well. And from all reports from my carnivore friends, their pies are just as delicious in the majority of the world, if we want to put it in nice terms. But a big shout out to Wonder Pies, wonderpies.com.au. They're based in Victoria, so you can find lots of their little stores around town, but you can also go to wonderpies.com.au and you can buy boxes of their product and you can have them sent to you. Let's get into the first film that I wanted to talk to you about was A House of Dynamite, the new Catherine Bigelow film. This is a movie that is made in three parts, and it's kind of like it's interesting. The first part tells the beginning of the story, and then when you get to the second part, it goes back a little bit and then it tells you a part of the story you've already seen from someone else's perspective. And then by the time you get to the third part, it does that again and it tells a coherent tale. This is a story about the American Defense Force, and it's a work of fiction, but it's a scary work of fiction where it looks like a missile has been fired. And you know what? Now that I kind of think about it, that's probably all you really need to know. You might have an idea of the different defense systems that America has, where they can supposedly take out these kind of ballistic missiles from outer space. But that, of course, requires a lot of knock-on effects. People noticing what's going on, working out where it's coming from, people on the ground trying to uh, deal physically with the missile. But then there's also people dealing with the ramifications of who fired the missile. This leads to international phone calls having to be made and people playing games, I guess, very high risk games of do you believe me? And if this happens, will there be a retaliation? And are you retaliating against the right people? And I guess what kind of makes this movie terrifying. Look, Catherine Bigelow is a great director. She knows how to create incredibly tense moments. It moves along at an incredible pace. But what she also shows you is that no matter how much training you have for a scenario that is probably the worst scenario any of these people will ever face, um, doesn't really take into account human emotions and the human reaction to these situations. Uh, I thought this was a really, really good film. I was pretty riveted. And it makes a couple of choices that I'll be curious to know what people think of in once they've watched it. There's one choice that I particularly liked, but I could imagine that some people will push up against it. It was interesting. I managed to see it at the cinema, and this is a Netflix movie. Uh, in the cinema, like you're locked in, aren't you? Like you are watching the film. There are no distractions. There's nothing to, um, you know, make you kind of stop at some point. Oh, I'm going to go to the toilet. Oh, I'm going to make a sandwich. Oh, I'm going to take this call. So I wonder if the incredible tension that Bigelow creates will be lost in the home environment. That'll be interesting because I think that will also compound this specific choice that I'm talking about. It was interesting in the cinema when the lights came up, and there was some kind of nervous chatter around me and a little bit of when you laugh and you don't really know why you're laughing. And I think there's also uh, something interesting about this film in that it is entertaining, but it's not made for entertainment. I know I'm sounding like I'm splitting hairs here, but movies didn't always just have to be feel good and uplifting and just entertaining. Sometimes movies were scary or serious or made you question things. And I think this is a real work of art. Um, I'm even a little bit reluctant to talk about who stars in it, apart from Rebecca Ferguson, who is seen everywhere, and you are engaged with her pretty early on. But part of the aspect of the film that I really enjoyed was I didn't quite know who a lot of the actors were. So when they turned up, especially because the story's told in this, you know, uh, forward rewind kind of style. Um, you'd see someone, you think, hey, is that such and such? And you go, oh, they don't have a very big role. And then, of course, their role is bigger in the next section or the section after that. Lots of great performances. Uh, this is a timely movie. And I think it is, look, it's a bit scary. To be completely honest with you, it is a bit scary, but uh, definitely worthwhile watching, and I'll be curious to know what you think if you watch it at home, and therefore, does the everyday distractions of just being around your stuff take you out of the film, and therefore, does it have an adverse effect, or does it kind of break the tension a little bit so you don't feel quite as stressed? Anyway, A House of Dynamite comes out soon. I really enjoyed it, and I'll be looking forward to hearing what you think about it as well. Um, right. Let's just get into Tron Ares. I wasn't going to talk about a House of Dynamite, but I squeezed that in. When I saw Tron Ares, I've been under the weather the last, kind of 10 days. One of those things where I don't know if you've had this, but it's like, oh my God, I'm getting sick, I'm getting sick, I'm getting sick. But, and then normally you get sick for a few days and you wipe down, and I never hit that point. I just kind of, oh, I'm getting better, I'm getting better, and then it's just a long feeling of lethargy. So I don't know if my autoimmune system did a really good job of not getting me sick. I did all the tests, everything was negative, but yeah, I've been a little bit slow on the uptake of late. So I wasn't initially going to speak about A House of Dynamite, but it's really lingered with me. And I saw that on Sunday, and then I treated myself to Tron Ares on Tuesday morning at IMAX, and that lingered with me for different reasons. But anyway, you know what? I'll stop talking about it. Let's bring in Garth, and you can hear my thoughts there, and maybe a way into enjoying this film if you have any interest in seeing it. All right, let's bring in Garth Jones.
We are not going to speak for long because, let's be honest, Tron Ares, there's not a lot to say. Where did you see it?
Where did I see it? I saw
Yeah.
it in a small event cinemas in New
Ah,
Plymouth in New Zealand. So it wasn't the full Nine Inch Nails face melt, uh,
right.
and I was unenhanced in every way. So
Oh, what a bummer. What a bummer. I went to a Tuesday half price 9:30 a.m. IMAX Sydney uh, session,
yes,
and that was probably the best way to see it. Look, I don't know how you felt about it as a movie. I thought it was pretty whatever, but I had a really good time because the way I enjoyed it was that Nine Inch Nails released a new album, and this is the most elaborate film clip that you've ever seen to go along with it.
I mean, I think I surrendered to that very early in into the
Yeah,
film, early in the film. Once I realized it was going to be some very expensive visuals, overlaid with a new Nine Inch
yeah.
Nails album, I was like, I can deal with this Leto guy. I can
Well,
cope with this.
he was kind of a he's a little bit. This is unfair because who I'm about to mention is actually a better movie star. But to me, Leto in this film was a little bit like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible films. Invariably, oh yeah, yeah, he's there,
Yeah, I mean,
and I really don't give a shit. I love Greta Lee. It was fun seeing her in a big blockbuster. Jodie Turner Smith is stunning, so I'm
yeah,
happy to look at her
yeah.
on a big screen. Evan Peters is a good actor, and watching
Pretty
him.
devastated about Gillian Anderson.
Oh
Not
man,
getting-
that must have been a really full on 3 days that she was there filming her pieces. But
she's what she was supposed to be Evan Peters' mother. So
yeah,
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 the age gap didn't look that great in terms of the her preservation.
yeah, exactly. But it's amazing. I've seen both Tron films, and I can't tell you anything about them, uh, like story wise or anything. So I felt like I was getting a brand new slate with this film.
Well, I watched the original Tron last night just to sort of
Right.
slightly try and remind myself of what had happened because I don't think I'd seen it since I was maybe 9 or 10.
Okay, can you give us a summation of what that film is for
No,
people who haven't seen it? You can't.
fucking
No.
no idea what happens. I mean, I think it's the conceit as it opens is actually pretty funny in that all of the programs are sort of in an office style environment where they're complaining about, their users.
Right.
There's an accounting program that's whinging about the accountant that uses them, and they're all being sort of funneled into this prison on the grid
Right.
by the bad guy whose name starts with S. Can't remember right now. But
Yeah.
I mean the plot is pretty hard to sort of pass, much like this one. I mean, I don't understand how the lasers work, how they
No.
can, what, how can is that food that they create edible, or is it just a construct that
Right.
where do the elements come from that make up the bodies that they form? Why
Well,
do they?
it's elaborate 3D printing, isn't it?
But how's it's got the molecular structure and the
Yeah.
so if they're sort of trying to solve world hunger in this new one,
Yeah.
the callback to the first film where they scan an orange and put it into the grid,
Yeah.
but now they're scanning oranges and taking them into they're putting them in the real world.
Yeah.
None of the plot makes fucking sense.
No.
The most unrealistic part is obviously the benevolent billionaires. You know, Greta Lee
Yeah.
wanting to, free medicine, universal basic income, everyone's happy. Load of
Yeah.
bullshit, obviously.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Dave Anthony and I were just talking recently that there's only probably been one properly benevolent billionaire, and that was Sam Simon,
Yes,
who helped
the
create,
Simpsons guy. Yeah,
yeah,
yep, yep.
who legitimately ended up being this incredibly rich dude purely by investing in the
Yes.
Simpsons. And, when he died, left all of his money to charities,
I
etc.
mean, not. I mean, we could go on. Yeah, this is definitely an interesting tangent as well because the guy who started MySpace,
Yeah,
Tom,
yeah,
everyone was friends with in 2009, he just fucking
yeah,
left. He just
yeah,
disappeared, and he just
yeah,
goes around the world and takes photos.
yeah,
Lives his best life, but doesn't, try and dabble in world affairs or turn off people's internet or
yeah,
fucking, create exploding cars or
yeah. You know what? I miss
build dick
MySpace.
rockets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
MySpace
he's
was
cool.
sweet.
Tom
Yeah,
was great.
yeah.
But yeah,
Did
as to the
you?
plot of the first one is nonsensical. I mean,
Right.
yeah, you've got Jeff Bridges gets sucked into the grid because he's good
Yeah,
at video games. He'd also created a really cool video game that the property had been stolen by the Dillinger company,
yeah,
and he's trying to sort of hack them and get it back. Then he gets taken into the grid, and it's sort of one of those films where, from the early 80s, like Last Starfighter and things like that, where being good
yes,
at video games meant that you were, heroic.
yeah,
But then there's the Tron program itself that's based on another guy
yeah.
that doesn't really appear in the other two films that much or at all in the new one.
Right,
Um, and I guess he sort of, the win at the end, but there's no real perceivable victory. There's a little bit of
right.
philosophy about, what it means in 1982 for computers to become sentient.
Yeah,
Uh, One guy says, computers and programs will think and
yeah,
then humans will stop. And it was like,
yeah.
they nailed it then. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like I remember seeing it as a kid, and
Yeah,
all I really remember is like Jeff
Light
Bridges.
Cycle, Light
Yeah,
Cycle, Jeff
yeah,
Bridges, and then the discs.
yeah,
Yeah, I was playing the video game just before we logged on, and they were, artifacts of 1983 or whatever. So they were just pixels. It was the throwing the discs, and it was riding the
yeah.
light cycles like it was Snake.
Oh, yeah,
And
right,
incredibly fucking hard to play.
right. Yeah, yeah. Video games were,
Oh, they were
there's
brutal. There was no learning curve. It was just like you're on your own, buddy.
yeah, absolutely. What was there? There was a fantasy one that I remember that I would get drawn into playing at the arcades, and after two or three games where you've already pumped in some money to get further, and you go, "Fuck, this game's too hard. I'm out of here." It's the one where you threw the swords. Do you
Yep.
remember that one? Dungeons and
Vaguely.
something,
There was Ghosts and Goblins.
Ghosts and
Yeah,
Goblins.
that was
Yeah,
designed to be a real money. Yeah, that was just designed to absorb 20-cent pieces and then dollar
yeah,
coins. That was a very difficult game. And the other
yeah.
one was Return of the Jedi, the Endor speeder bike sequence where you had to dodge logs, like sort of
Right,
like Frogger, and it just became, practically impossible unless you had the reflexes of like a fighter pilot to
right.
to
Be
pull that
able
off
to deal with.
as a 7-year-old.
Um, so what happened in Tron Legacy? Do you remember?
I saw that in Adelaide, in North Adelaide, I think on O'Connell Street at the cinema
Yeah.
there. Um, and that's probably about as much as I remember, apart from the CG on Jeff
Oh
Bridges.
man.
He was the bad
Yeah.
guy. Clue was the bad guy in that.
Right.
Jeff
Right.
Bridges'
Okay.
avatar was the bad guy, but he also turned up as Kevin Flynn
Right.
in the real world, maybe.
Yeah. It was making me laugh. I'd read an article that no one was meant to know that Jeff Bridges was in this film, and he dropped the info at a convention last year, and they went, "Oh well, we better put him in the advertising and everything," and that made me laugh because you're sitting there going, "Oh wow, he really doesn't turn up until far into this film."
My favorite thing I've read about this film is that Jared Leto does his usual method acting bullshit
Right.
and wanted to be referred to as Aries on the set. You know,
Like,
everyone had, and Jeff Bridges just like, no man,
yeah,
have to do
yeah,
it. You're just dude. You're just
yeah,
me. I don't care. I'm not
yeah.
referring to you. No, that's not happening. Because it was essentially he was Big Lebowski in the computer in this one, pretty much
Absolutely.
as it was.
And
It
it
was
was
fantastic. It made my day.
Yeah, that was my favorite part as well. I liked, it's a shame because visually there was some pretty outstanding pieces. I liked when he went into the grid and it went all retro.
Yep.
That looked fantastic. I thought all the stuff in the real world looked pretty wild, but it's just I just don't know. I've never met a fan of Tron. Never.
No, well, Jared Leto's apparently the only one that could actually get it happening. He was
Right.
the script for Legacy. Apparently, Legacy made 400 million or something in
Yeah.
2010. So that's,
Yeah.
fairly major, I guess, in the scheme of things for a property
Yeah.
like this. But yeah, it must be just like that sort of just the echoes of like Gen X fanboys who saw
Yeah.
it as a kid, sort of sustaining it to this point.
I
Um,
guess.
because I can't see how this is gonna, when you've got the Minecraft movie and all that sort of shit, for
Yeah.
anyone under, 15, 20,
Yeah.
they're the franchises that make sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I'm throwing something at you that I haven't given you any
sure.
heads up for. But having walked out of it and like legitimately had a good time because my expectations story-wise were right at the bottom. And I essentially went for the soundtrack. I've never gone to a movie just for a soundtrack before,
Yep.
but I went to it for the soundtrack. I was happy with the visuals, and there were a couple of actors that I like, and so I was just happy to see, especially someone like Greta Lee, who we've seen in so many small budget things. Seeing her in a big budget thing
Mhm.
was fun, but it made me think, what other albums do I like that I wish they would just make a movie for? So, and this is, so I've got a couple of
Yep.
examples, and I have not worded you up on this,
No.
so feel free to have a think of anything that you love. But I immediately thought of, I've been listening a lot to the Nine Inch Nails album, The Slip from 2008. There's potentially, I'd like to see, I saw Austin Butler in Caught Stealing. I
Yes.
thought he was pretty good in that. And I'd like to see him be given something that's a little bit more high-end action, but make him someone who he's fit, but he's not imposing. So I'd like to see him in something that is propulsive, more like a Jason Statham film, but he has to kind of physically think his way
Mhm.
through things rather than he's Statham and he can just win fights. Is there anything that comes to mind for you, albums that you would like to see turned into elaborate movies? I've got
Uh,
other options if you need more time to think about it.
no, I think I'm just going to look at the record collection for a moment. I mean, there's probably every Judas Priest album before
Yeah.
1990.
In my head, I was like thinking, who mentioned Judas Priest?
Well, that was the obvious take, but I just turned around and I was
Yeah.
like, "Thank you, Rob Halford. You're right there."
Yeah.
Some of those hold up as a consistent soundtrack. They'd be pretty bombastic.
Yeah.
Still, you'd need to stretch them over an hour and a half, but there's more than enough
Yeah, you,
content.
you can add some sort of storyline. I'd like.
Yeah, I mean, there's
I
plenty of
was.
story. There's always, a guy in leather chaps and with a whip turning up and bumming the future into submission. That's fine.
Yeah,
That's pretty.
fantastic. That's what that'll make a film. I was thinking I'd like to see the Queens of the Stone Age songs for the deaf
Yes.
with someone on the run,
Yep.
and with the radio playing and everything, and almost like a an update of the Odyssey, but
Yes.
all the different people that this person meets along the way. If it'd be good to have like an
Big.
older actor, someone who's kind of uh, you know, like Peter Weller. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yep.
someone who's older, who's kind of crumpled around the edges and barely holding it. Tom Waits. Tom Waits would be kind of fun coming across all these different people. Someone who's been weathered by age, etc.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
even Sean Penn. Sean Penn's got a weathered face now. He
He's done the
he looks so
yards.
good. Yeah, but he looks so good in the latest Paul Thomas Anderson film. I'd be up for seeing him having to, on the run, dealing with something to that soundtrack.
Yeah, that's an amazing album, and that's like 23 years old now. That's
Yeah,
horrifying.
yeah.
I mean, there's an
Uh,
album by a English band. I was probably cheating a bit because their idea is that these albums will well, they're supposed to be cinematic. It's a goth metal band called Creeper, uh,
mm.
whose I guess their mission statement is Jim Steinman meets Sisters of Mercy.
Oh, okay,
So they're
right.
very bombastic. I mean, there's even a little bit of Springsteen in them.
Yeah,
This is for everyone under 30, so I can just prove I've got credentials
right. Yeah, yeah,
making
for sure.
references to anything from the
Yeah,
1980s. But yeah, I think their shtick is vampire stuff. I can see a very near dark sort of comparison, or an extension of a sort of near dark sort of
yeah,
cinematic universe happening with those guys.
yeah.
Definitely recommend checking those out.
I don't think that's cheating if they
Oh,
create an album
they're ready.
that
They want
is,
to do it.
but yeah, that's good. I For a complete departure, I was thinking the Arctic Monkeys Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino, and have a kind of retro 60s sci-fi story that's almost a little bit more, I guess, White Lotus, but set
Yes.
in that kind of, Serge Gainsborough kind of vibe. That would be a fun thing to do. You could have
Okay,
lots
I'm
of
going to build on that
cameos.
one. I'm going to build on that one and say Mike Patton's Mondo Cane and
Mm,
do Casino Royale, only with a Spanish dub.
yes. So do the first.
Two Tarantino's Casino Royale with Mondo
Yes.
Cane as the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
fuck, I would fucking definitely be in that. And you know what? Uh, I'd have Patton kind of almost dressed like the singing detective,
Yes.
in
Yep.
a cafe that they frequent or whatever. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
Amazing.
well, and I saved the most obvious for last, but of course I had to stick in a
Um,
Bowie suggestion. But I went with the Outside album, which would have the potential to be, that's got a very loose concept idea of ritual art murders and a detective trying to solve the murder in the lead up to the end of the year. You could kind of almost get like a Strange Days
yep.
kind of vibe to it. Maybe get Ray Fiennes to play the detective
30
who's
years
in.
onwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let him keep his English accent.
Upsettingly buff in his 60s. Yeah.
Upsettingly buff, but having him kind of having to solve a murder in a hallucinogenic, uh, degrading storyline that reaches some sort of terrible conclusion.
Amazing. Yep. Now I'm just filing through all the concept albums that I've done.
I know, it's fun, isn't it? Well, that's what
Yeah,
I
I mean
mean.
it's
It was
yeah, I mean who knew Tron Ares had so much content attached to
no,
it.
mate. This is. I said to you, we'll record for 20 minutes
Yep.
tops,
Yep.
and most of the ideas that came from it were other things that you could do better.
Yes, across the board.
Yeah,
Uh,
you'd have to think that Jared Leto's days as a leading man after Morbius and
did you see
this.
Morbius?
No,
I
no,
I'm a sucker for the cine buzz, or the Tuesday, I know it's going to
yeah,
be a car crash, but that
yeah,
was uniquely, even for that Sony Spider-Man universe,
yeah,
whatever they call Spam or whatever they call it, but like that was,
yeah,
yeah, unfathomable what they were doing with that.
yeah.
Had none of the, I mean, it was just generic vampire guy.
Yeah.
And
It's kind of wild that those six Sony movies technically are in the profit, but mainly because the Venom films
yes,
made
yeah.
money.
I mean,
But Cool Raven, was it Cool Raven? No, it's
no,
not Cool
it was
Raven.
Craven.
Craven. Cool Raven's
Yeah, yeah,
the
shocker.
uh, he's the guy who fights in War of the Worlds, isn't he? In Marvel.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah,
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 he's got the
yeah.
orange Alan Davis. Yeah,
Yes, yeah,
sort
yeah,
of, yeah. But I mean, it was all on the table in terms of just do well. I know that all that Reich stuff, but just do Midnight Suns or Spirits of Vengeance,
yeah.
and just introducing Jared Leto as a vampire guy who has a serum, um, and again with the annoying like method acting, like having to go to the toilet on crutches or in a wheelchair because the
Oh,
character was
yeah.
emaciated and all that bullshit. But just and
Just
the frightening thing is Morbius made more on its opening weekend than Tron. So,
oh, did it?
yeah. But in answer to your question, I don't think has he been a leading man for a long time? I mean, he
Yeah.
seems to have some sort of Epstein list or something going on in
Right.
Hollywood. It's like, ensuring he keeps getting roles. But
Right.
his reputation's not great, so there must be something going on.
Like he's physically very pretty.
I mean, he's starting to freight. You can see this the seam starting to show there.
You can say that, but you'd give you a fucking left nut to look like Jared Leto. Like now, do you know what I mean? Like he's a very handsome man.
But I'll tell you, one of the worst moments of my comedy festival life was being in line for Will Anderson about 10 years ago and someone turning around and saying, you look like Jared Leto. And
Mate, you can take that as a compliment. He didn't
shattered.
say
Even then, I was
no.
like, oh, that fucking
Ah,
band. 30
mate, take
seconds
a
to
compliment.
Mars.
Mate, he didn't turn around and say, you look like someone who would like the music of Jared Leto. And he didn't say, you look like someone who acts like Jared Leto. If you can look like him, that's fucking great.
Yeah, we'll take it. Yeah, take it as a potential. Yeah, thumbs up, I guess.
Fucking hell. Like,
Very funny. But
my
yeah,
fucking,
you can
my
see that
mum's
sort of
friend
the
once
Johnny
said I
Depp
look,
trajectory happening. How Johnny sort of
can
started to
you?
fall apart.
Uh,
We'll
he
see.
looks fitter than, he looks like he'll
He's a decade
physically
younger.
age better than
We'll
Depp.
see. Yeah, I mean,
He's not. Depp's an alcoholic. Uh,
But there's that too. He's
yeah,
fun, and
like
he's also like going to the. He's now with the Saudi royal family situation. He's over there spruiking their film festivals as well.
amazing.
Yeah,
The I remember the first cracks in the Johnny Depp handsome category was when he made The Tourist with Angelina
yes,
Jolie,
yeah. He was a
and
swarthy man in that one, wasn't he?
here you're like, Jesus, what's going on here? And also, how is it two of the so-called hottest stars
Yes,
in Hollywood can have less fucking chemistry than a vanilla wafer?
amazing. Yeah, that was yeah,
Diabolical. Well, anyway,
diabolical.
fingers crossed we'll get an invite to go and perform in Saudi Arabia, and we can go back on all of our principles. I've thoroughly enjoyed the comedians who,
The
um,
backpedaling.
no, the ones who kind of has stood up for,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
like
Well,
Dave
David
Chappelle
Cross
sort
was
of.
amazing, wasn't he?
Well, no, well,
Oh, no,
I'm
sorry, the
thinking
guys.
about
Yep, yep,
who Dave Chappelle said that. He doesn't feel like he has freedom of speech in his own country, and that's why he was going over there.
yeah,
And it's like, yeah, it must be hard to feel like you just don't have a platform apart from Netflix and YouTube and all of your live shows and all the money that you've made and the opportunities you've had
yes.
to really be comedically very funny about real minorities. So it must be. I'm glad that he's finally finding a place that he can
It's horrifying, isn't it?
express himself.
And bring Elon Musk out onto the stage. And I mean, I wasn't
Mate,
a big Bill Burr guy, but like his sort of constant sort of groveling and like backpedaling is especially sort of
the Bill
just
Burr.
really, really telling, isn't it?
Well, especially, everyone keeps playing that stuff from about Beyonce from what was that, 10, 12 years ago?
Yeah.
It's like, Bill Burr, you're making a lot of money. Like,
Yes.
you're fine, mate. What are you doing?
Yeah. And that was the David Cross thing, wasn't it? It's like, do you need another house? Do you need more
Yeah,
shoes? Like, or,
yeah,
but yeah, just,
yeah.
I mean, I think one of the most overlooked acts at Riyadh was probably they should have had Donald Trump doing his Charlie Kirk memorial speech yesterday.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you see that?
Yeah,
Where
I
he's talking
did.
about how good he is at turning,
Yeah,
dodging
yeah,
bullets, like excellent material.
mate. Like,
Superb.
just talk about the audacity to
Well, just
take that to that audience. I respect it.
absolute sociopath. Like, it's amazing. Like, he's one of the best stand-ups of his generation.
Yeah, yeah. I caught up with Limo recently, and I won't mention this comedian's name, but an old school comedian. He was told about they had a gig seller that was for the AFL, and there were all these high profile women journalists there, and the comedian got up and was making fun of the AFLW and just ripping into it, and just talked about how poorly it went down in the room. And I was like, this is why you got to keep working with young people,
Yes.
because it keeps you across everything that's going on and kind of keeps you grounded in the present. And this person is a high profile comedian who's really made a living in the corporate world,
Yeah.
but just either you have pitched this incorrectly or you have 10 fucks to give and you just want to see how it'll go.
Yeah, just burn it down. Yeah, but yeah, staying, remaining relevant is the challenge. And
Yeah,
just
yeah.
just listen, shut the fuck up.
Just have a little listen, mate. All
Have a
right.
little listen.
Well, I figured we've talked enough about Tron Ares. That's heaps.
About 4 minutes
It
worth of
was
Tron Ares, sure.
yeah, managed to go off into other areas. Jodie Turner Smith on the big screen is like one of the most beautiful women in the world. Like, I was watching. Did you watch the American version of The Bureau with Michael Fassbender?
No,
She was the love interest in that,
right.
and a lot of these kinds of movies or TV shows, when someone's putting their life on the line, and you sit there going, "What are you doing, mate? Like, just meet someone else." But all the way through this, I was like going, "Yep, that makes sense. Yep, this is."
You got it,
Uh,
Michael.
and I feel like Tron Ares would have been exponentially more interesting if it had just been her. Like, just take the Jared Leto bit out and just make
Yeah,
her the lead.
I mean, to loop back to it, I mean, Evan Peters trying, I heard someone's, he would have been as a villain more interesting if he was augmenting himself with stuff from the grid. And
Yes.
then, there was some sort of conflict between, the grid soldiers
Yeah.
and him, rather than having, I think an issue with the first film too is that there's too many protagonists. Um,
Yes.
there's the Tron guy, and then there's Kevin Flynn. It's like, well, just why don't you just amalgamate them and have a more
Yeah.
streamlined narrative? And it's the
Yeah.
same here, like too many villains.
Yeah.
Um, whereas she could have been the CEO augmenting herself and
Yeah.
had something more interesting happening than just a post-credit sequence for something that won't happen.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
in the Marvel
The
tradition. Yeah.
in the great Marvel tradition. The I did like the scene of the break-in. I thought the break-in scene looked fantastic,
Yes.
but otherwise, yeah. What a the just quickly, I watched Thunderbolts the other
Yes.
day because
Yep.
I had not seen that. People told me that was really good, and I reckon the now in everyone's defense, I have avoided Quantum Mania and
Yes.
I've avoided
Did you
you
watch
know
the Marvels?
I avoided the Marvels,
Wise. Yep.
um, but I thought it was pretty bad. And the thing that told me that it was pretty bad is I know Sebastian Stan's a really good actor,
Yes.
and he
Yep.
is sleepwalking through that. Like that movie, they the little it's really the New Avengers.
Hmm.
Like they should have just called the movie The New Avengers, and it should have been about Julia Louis Dreyfus's character assembling a new team that
Yes.
she wants to call the Avengers, and and
Well,
give it something more to like because Florence Pugh is she's
amazing. Yeah.
she's so good and she's
Phenomenal.
so watchable in something. I think Wyatt Russell can be quite good. Like I think I've enjoyed him in other things, and it's like this movie is blanding out a lot of people with potential.
I mean, yeah. I mean, cinematography, flat, usual shit. Hanging it on sort of mental illness as the
Yeah,
as the antagonist was pretty rough. I'm
yeah,
not sure how that universe pivots to that. Uh,
yeah,
what we've been set up for, but I guess the contrast I'm going to make is at the end of Peacemaker season 2.
yeah,
Have you seen the last episode?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was so pumped when I saw the checkmate sign as the
Right, yeah,
women. I mean,
yeah,
that's like, that's very specific, but like that was
yeah,
more exciting to me than like the new Avengers by
yes,
far.
yeah,
Because that was a cool reveal, where it was like, that means something to a very
yeah,
specific set of people.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, that worked for me. Where the new Avengers stuff was like, oh, all right, it's
But
still gonna be Thor and the rest of them when they get to the next thing.
also the why use the Thunderbolts title? Like the concept of the
Yeah,
Thunderbolts was so exciting because it was for people who haven't ever read the comic or been across it. It was a whole lot of villains pretending to be heroes,
yeah, and this is just
and
a bunch of anti-heroes sort of learning to be slightly
like
better.
this is essentially like you may as well have treated it like issue 16 of the Avengers when all the original guys left and Cap was left to take on some new people. Like
Yeah,
what I don't make a new Captain America movie, call it New Avengers and have this Cap being lumped with these characters.
call it West Coast Avengers or
Call it
it's
West Coast
really
Avengers.
fucking
New
crazy.
Avengers is fine, like
I think they've got
but
Hellcat and those guys, so they could really, go for it, man.
yeah. And also,
Welcome to 1980s Marvel comic book talk, guys.
I know, but also I just think like Lewis Pullman's a really good actor. Like I'm
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his, but like Sentry is a character that's a really complicated character
Yes.
who worked in when that character was introduced in the comics, that was fun because it was the concept was that they'd found this old character that Stanley and that had worked
Yeah,
on
it's a
and
very
had
Alan
forgotten
Moore sort
about.
of meta sort of, yeah, it was
Yeah,
like
it
sort of
was their
Supreme
Miracle
sort of
Man.
take. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then eventually it was like, oh well, that should be it should have just been a limited series. And as soon as Bendis tried to introduce the concept falls apart, kind of thing. And
Marvel
I
doesn't
just
work for Superman, like as a,
no,
sort of guiding principle. It always
no.
just rings hollow. I mean, they had what was their sort of alternative Avengers? What were they called? I can't remember what but there was, the Nighthawk and all those
Oh
guys.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, but that was their
yeah,
sort of flipped Justice League, sorry,
yeah.
at one point. But yeah, it just doesn't really hold water in that universe as much
Oh,
as
Squadron Supreme.
Squadron Supreme. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Hyperion and all of them,
yeah.
and
That was Jim
yeah,
Balent.
they
Yeah,
yeah, but they were around since the 60s.
yes,
Like when DC and Marvel did that uh unofficial the writers just did an unofficial crossover and they
yes,
made
yeah.
analogs. But it's yeah, I was really tired. I was a bit under the weather. I thought, fuck it, I'll give Thunderbolts a go, and got to the end of it and was like, Jesus Christ, okay,
No, I
cool.
mean, as I said, like I do lean into the Cinebuzz points and do see them against my
Mm,
better judgment. But it's the diminishing returns
yeah.
continue, really. Nothing's really blown up in any sense for me. Um,
These Marvel movies, these new Avengers films, like I have an interest level that is surprisingly high, and for all the wrong reasons.
yeah, that's pretty much where I'd come from too. Just- I mean, the Russo brothers, so actively championing AI filmmaking as they go into this as well. It's just off-putting, if
Yeah,
nothing else. I was having a conversation with some people this morning just about the lack of authenticity when it comes to, we've talked about it, but in creative endeavor, especially if they're
yeah,
going to be sort of sneaking AI shit into the background of these films and start, yes, evolve with the industry and all the rest, but like just the disingenuous nature of that product being
yeah,
down your throat really starts
yeah.
to suck a
I
lot.
I was picking up something at King's Comics, and I was talking to the guys there, and they were saying for the first time, really, like DC, like Marvel always outsells DC, and DC will have DC fans will get excited. Hey, we're
Yeah.
outselling Marvel. It's like, yeah, for 6 weeks,
What
and
ifs?
then
Yep.
but
Yep.
because of the movies and the degradation in quality of those films, and then with what's going on in the comics, uh, for the first time in probably since Marvel came along, DC's now the cool
Mm.
world. Like DC Comics are cool. Like Marvel is but because of TikTok and everything, and the kids kind of pushing back against it, and especially with what they're doing with the Absolute Universe and having a
Yes.
bit more of an idea of what they are working towards. Um, Suddenly, the cool kids are into the older company.
I had it right in 1985. I had it. I was nailing it when I was 7 years old.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but I mean, Jim Lee even coming out and saying explicitly that DC will never use AI products in the production of any of their books. It's like
yeah,
for someone in that position who no doubt answers to a whole bunch of people who would love him to do that
yeah,
to speed up production, and that's a pretty big call,
yeah,
uh, and pretty admirable. I mean, I think you know he might be a better CEO than artist these days, but that's fine. Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's
Probably
definitely
not doing enough. You have to keep working on your craft, mate.
Yeah, he's definitely cranking out the same set of tits and ass shots, and
Yeah. Sometimes Jim Lee does look like Jim Lee's the best Jim Lee cover band.
yes, yeah, those other image guys that sort of came up under him have got nothing on the original. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. All right. This has gone longer than I expected.
we've done
Thanks for
well.
jumping on.
No worries.
As soon as I knew you'd seen it, I was like, well, I need to bring you in to discuss this. So thanks for that, mate.
Thank you.
Taking the time out to discuss that film with me. Look, if there's any albums that you think would make a great 2.5 hour movie, let me know. maybe we can discuss it in an upcoming episode. But yes, you could see how I could find a way in to enjoy that flick. I won't stay for too much longer. We have interviews with Dave Anthony coming up. We have an interview with James Fosdyke, which will physically be one of the funniest things you see on my YouTube page. So keep an eye out for that. I won't give away what James does, but it made me laugh right from the beginning, and we decided to keep it. Of course, if you're listening to this, you can watch this on YouTube. And of course, you can hear this across all the different platforms, which I'm sure you're already across. For those of you who would like access to live shows that have been filmed, to tickets to live shows and all that kind of stuff, head over to patreon.com/Justin Hamilton and you can find a tier that suits you. I have shows coming up in Brisbane in December. So if you would like to check out those shows, it's my first solo show in a decade in Brisbane. So you can find more about that at my website, justinhamilton.com.au, and you will be able to find that show being promoted there and extra information. Patreon subscribers know that if they DM me, they will be put on the door so they can come along and have a good time. And then also my Substack has been really building quite nicely. We have quite a few people who are signed up. There are the free posts and there is a paid post, which is a memoir called One Foot in the Spotlight, where I'm recounting my career. And it's been fun to write. It's been fun to go back and reconnect with all of that stuff. And yeah, there's a few things up there already for you to read. So once again, if you want to find those links, you can head over to justinhamilton.com.au and there's links to Substack, YouTube, the gigs, etc. So yeah, there you go. All right. Thank you very much for tuning in today and keep an eye/ear out for the Dave Anthony podcast that is coming out in the next few days. All right, until then.